Thank you for the presentation. I'm going to open it up to council. Any questions from any of the councillors tonight? Councillor Bondy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is specifically to note number 2, the investment in E.L.K. Energy, where the town holds 100% of the investment at the balance that represents the town's share at acquisition. So I really have a hard time that on our books, an asset that we own solely is in our books as at acquisition, because we may want to sell it to pay off debt, to do roads, because we don't want to manage it anymore. And so it is an asset. So I think, you know, we're also charged with governance for overseeing the town's financial reporting. And I believe that's part of us, that's council. So I really think we need to put our assets into our audit here. You know, looking at these financial assets, I know that even if we got a value point at E.L.K, it's only a value at one point in time, but we really don't know what the value is. So I'm just wondering why we continue to do the value in our audited financial statements when it's at acquisition, when we really need to know if it's more or less. And this is an important topic in our municipality. If we are the owners of a multi-million-dollar organization, we should have some idea of its value. And from talks with town staff and you know, myself, I was an E.L.K. board member. It seems that nobody really knows, unless I can be corrected right now, what the value is of E.L.K. And if we know the value of E.L.K, we need to start writing that down so we can see if there's a decline or an increase in it. This is just like one of our other investments, right? We need to, I see in there that the reported earnings this year are gone down. So we need to keep an eye on that as well. But this is a question which is hence leads into the notice of motion that I have later on tonight. So do we have that value of E.L.K. if we were to sell it today?
Could I attempt to answer that?
Go ahead, Mike.
So first off, the statements have to show the value of E.L.K. on them. It is at acquisition, but it also includes, it says undistributed earnings. So that $11.696 million you see there prior to adding the purchase premium in the note, that ties to what the net assets of E.L.K. are according to their statements. So your value on your statements is exactly equal to their value if you look at their statements. However, I cannot speak to the true fair value of it because, number one, that's not what we're doing in the audit. If you wanted to understand the value, you'd probably need to hire a chartered business valuator to help you come up with that. I mean, there are rules of thumb out there, which I'm not going to speak to because I don't know what the rules of thumb are for it. But having said that, I mean, and if you were to go back and look and see what you paid to buy out the others, it might give you an idea of what it could be worth. But it's not something that is required to be in the audit statements, although I hear what you're saying. To know what the value of your investment makes sense, just whether or not you need to know that right now and whether that's going to make you change some decisions or do different things.
Thank you, Mike.
Councillor Bondy, the notice of motion as moved by Councillor Bondy, that council designate or request that that council designate funds for the 2021 budget process to hire a consultant for a valuation of E.L.K. Energy, being that it is a town-owned asset and knowing its value is important to our shareholders. Would require a second.
Councillor Guerin, you second that? Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Bondy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion's pretty self-explanatory. I think tonight with our audited financial statements, I think it's important for us to have some idea what our value of our asset is. And this doesn't necessarily have to be the way to find the value, but I think when I talk to our corporate, Jeffrey Morrison, our Director of Corporate Services, he didn't really have an understanding either of the value. And this is one of our biggest assets in the town of Essex. You know, in February, we were supposed to have a meeting exclusively on this topic and to discuss the role and being an owner. And there's still a lot of unanswered questions. So down the line, you know, we may want to sell ELK Energy and do new roads, or, you know, pay off debt. But, you know, we really don't know what we own. So just hopefully council will support it. Sorry, she's really cranky. Hopefully council will support it, and we can look at the cost for it in the 2021 budget. You know, not this year, but we can look at doing it in the 2021 budget and get an idea of what we own. You know, maybe one day we don't want to own a hydro company. Maybe we want to, you know, do roads or something. I just think that there's so many unanswered questions, and maybe the next step is, you know, having a meeting to talk about some of those questions. So thank you.
If I can just add to that, Councillor Bondy, you said we might consider selling it down the road. I can't see us ever selling a business that makes us almost $1 million a year. And why would we sell a business that makes us $1 million a year and throw the money in the roads for 1 year, and then all that revenue year after year is not coming in any longer? That doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, that's your.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. We're not collecting dividends from it. We're
making profit every year off of it, Councillor.
But we're not collecting dividends. We need to understand.
We're still making profit. Go ahead, Councillor Vanderbilt.
Yes, I once again, I think taxpayers may want to be suspicious of the motives here. I've heard somebody say at least 15 times, maybe we want to sell it. Maybe we want to sell it. Well, then maybe you should ask council if we want to sell it. But getting the value first, it's putting the cart before the horse. And I just want to point out to the ratepayers of E.L.K. that if E.L.K. is sold, the rates will go up sharply, because when you sell it, the buyers will have to recoup the cost of that company on the backs of the ratepayers, the customers of E.L.K. If you really want to entertain, well, let's raise all the rates on our townspeople, then yeah, let's rush ahead with this. But I think this isn't a good idea.
Deputy Mayor Malash, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not supporting the motion. I think that we should wait till the 2021 budget, bring it up again. I think defer it until that time. We don't know what costs we're going to have coming up. We don't know what kind of monies we're going to have. I don't want to commit. This is not something that's high priority for me personally as a councillor. But if we have the money to do it and there's enough support when we do our budget, so be it. But the true value of the assets are going to only be told when we actually, if we were actually to put it up for sale. Because right now you can value the what we have in brick and mortar and equipment and hydro poles and so on, but it doesn't tell you what you can get as a value of, and a lot of E.L.K's value is because of the potential income that you can get from the corporation. Right now, we may not be getting dividends because we're trying to pay down a loan from when we purchased in the first place. And that's why I'm saying the purchase value is what really is going to give us value, because whoever buys it's not going to buy it for the value of the building and the poles and the equipment that we have. They're actually going to buy it because of its potential earnings going forward. And we have no idea what corporation would come along and how much additional money they'd offer us on top of whatever the value is currently. So I think that we need to defer this. This is something that we don't need to spend money on right now, I don't believe. And if we want to have a discussion of whether we want to hold the asset or whether we don't want to hold the asset, that should be behind closed doors and determine what we want to do, and either be quiet on the idea, give it up, or move on in whatever direction we want to go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Guerin, go ahead.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't matter the timing on when we know what an asset that we own is worth. But I think as councillors, and we should want to know what an asset of ours is worth. I think that's what the real intent of the motion was. Whether you do anything with that asset really isn't what I was seconding. I was seconding just knowing what it is that we own and what the value is to us and what it's worth. I think I'd like to know that. Obviously, Leamington and Kingsville didn't see much value in it because they're not involved with it anymore. Unless I'm mistaken, it used to be owned by all three parties and we bought the other two out. So they obviously didn't see any value in keeping it. So to say that, you know, we may never sell it, but and it may not, it may be of no interest to anybody else. I don't think that's right. Some other municipalities were once involved and now they're not. So I think it's doing great for us. I mean, it looks on the reports, the dividends that could be or should be being paid out and how they're being paid out looks good. But I'd like to know the value of it for sure. I would. We're not talking about a pickup truck that we just bought a couple of years ago. We're talking about a pretty big asset.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, so just to follow up, so I'm not going to vote in favor tonight to commit funds to this at the budget, but I'm certainly willing to look at it at budget time if we have an idea of the ballpark of what it's going to cost us. I got no problem with finding out, having a value on that. And again, that's one of those things, though, I'd be pretty keen on keeping it to ourselves. It would be a closed meeting item because that day you do want to sell, you don't want to do people's work for them. So I think we reserve this till budget time. It'll go on the list of things that we'll talk about and it'll make the cut or it won't. But I wouldn't pass it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I agree 100% with what you just said.
Mr. Mayor, and my motion, please, that we get a quote to put in the 2021 budget for deliberations. So the motion is that council designate funds, but can we just make the motion, can council get a quote? So we can actually have a discussion in the 2021 budget about what we're discussing. Like, and the reason why this is important is what if the buildings, poles and equipment are run into the ground? And I'll just leave it at that.
Councillor Guerin seconded.
Yeah, I would second that amendment, that we at least have administration look into what it would cost to get a quote, and we can look at it at budget time. I'm okay with that. I'd just like to know one of these days what it's worth.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion? And what do we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? Opposed? 5. You had 5. It passes.
It was, I don't think we ever intended to sell it this soon, but when Sherry Bondy became mayor, the writing was on the wall. She wanted to sell it ever since she got on council.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think? Is
Who
that
are you reporting for?
personal?
Okay.
I don't represent any
Not the Star, not the
free press, nothing like
Radio.
that. No.
okay.
So you don't want to touch on
Well,
Sherry
on
because
the
it's
politics.
conjecture, right? Because you don't
Yeah.
know for sure that she wanted to sell.
Well, she spent years denigrating it, and I think her long-term goal was to sell it. And of course, as soon as she became mayor, it didn't take long. She sold it to the wrong, well, in my opinion, the wrong people.